So with that, I'm going to hand over to our first speaker. We just got a couple of more speakers. Jackie's very keen to get up on the stage. We've got a few short pieces of information, basically, to give you the context of how the Haberdashers Company works with schools overall. First, a session from my colleague Susan, who is Director for Charities, and then I'm going to give you a little bit more context about Haberdashers Advantage. First of all, I'm going to pass you over to Susan.
Even as we speak, we know that what is going on in our schools is amazing. Our staff are brilliant, what they deliver is brilliant, and the transformation that they deliver for our children, for our young people, it helps them to have a transformative experience within a Haberdasher school. But I want to leave you with a question. What happens if we added greater value to their school experience? What if we could do more with our young people? I'm going to come on to that later. I'm juggling so many things. Here we go. Many of you will be aware of the large sums of money that go from Jones and Adams and Ask directly from the company to the schools, and that happens automatically. Whilst that happens, £1 million in grants goes to a number of charities and schools through the work of the Charities Committee, which works alongside the Education Committee here at the Hall. The Educational Committee, the Educational Foundation is almost exclusively giving funds across the year to our schools in all 4 hubs. Our Benevolent Foundation also makes grants to charities that support our schools, and we have a Christian foundation. We have 8 Haberdasher churches. We're patron of 8 churches as well. I'm just going to give you sort of a top-line view of what we do with those charitable grants that we give. We work with young people, and we define that between the ages of 0 and 30. We work with the early years cohort, the 0 to 5, especially as we're very mindful how young people come into the primary school sector, perhaps lacking some of those earlier foundation elements that they really need. We work with young people who experience disadvantage, young people who have experience of the custody system, and young people who experience homelessness. So when the company makes grants, those are the 4 areas that we're focusing on. We have 2 main grants programs. We have a small grants program, and this year 18 small charities got a maximum of £3,000. We try to identify charities that work very closely, either geographically with our schools or in the local authority area of our schools, so we're adding value to what's going on for our school communities in those places. And we also have a major grant program. That's a closed program. So we seek out organisations that can add value to our schools. So our current major grant holders are Construction Youth Trust, XLP, and EY Foundation. And all of those add value to the schools where we work, especially in South London and a little bit less so in the West Midlands. We don't have a huge grant-making capacity, so we have to be very, very careful where that money goes. So we target where there's areas of multiple deprivation. Around £70,000 of that million also goes to root ourselves in what we call our ancient art. So our fashion and textile industry, we're the worshipful company of Haberdashers. So we like to have a thread, if you like, back to our ancient art and our heritage and our history in the fashion and textile space. So we support organisations like London College of Fashion, Royal College of Art, and an incubator organisation called Cockpit. Oh, and the Royal School of Needlework as well. What we've increasingly tried to do over the last few years is add value. And it comes back to that question I spoke about at the beginning. What we do in our schools is brilliant. You know that. Our staff knows that. Our governors know that. Hopefully the children know it as well. But if we did more with our charities, we could add greater value to what's going on the ground in those communities where our schools are in action. So when we choose charities to support financially, we also ask ourselves, can we add value to them through extra volunteering from our members, through pro bono support, so then that charity themselves, many of whom are very, very small indeed, and lack some of the infrastructure that the larger charities just don't take for granted, but it's there. So we try to add value to the small charities that we support. And then most recently, we're trying to be far more intentional about bringing together our charities with the local community, with our schools. And that's where we really believe that they could have some significant transformation. We're trialling it with a charity, a very small charity called Brightbox. And Brightbox create food recipe boxes to try and combat weekend hunger. So they work with 5 primary schools in Southwark, some of whom are the feeder schools for Borough Academy, one of our schools in South London. And we thought to ourselves, wouldn't it be great if we actually added value to Brightbox by helping them collaborate with students at Borough Academy, adding value through the time and the talent of members of the Haberdashers Company, and really elevate the work that Brightbox is doing. So that's very much a pilot, and so watch this space in terms of how that goes. But we are trying very hard to be intentional about that linking up and that adding value through our charities to create greater impact for our school communities and the wider communities. You thought you came here to sit behind a desk all day, didn't you? There are 4 rowing machines out there, and today is City Giving Day. I'm sure you've heard all about it. The Lord Mayor of London is roaming around in his glad rags, visiting city organisations as they raise money for the Lord Mayor's appeal, and that's all very brilliant. We have chosen to raise money for those 3 charities I mentioned because of the way in which their work aligns with our schools. So the 4 rowers will be active across the course of the day. I'm going to encourage you. I saw that you dressed very appropriately for a Haberdasher Hall event. However, if you'd like to slip your shoes off, sit your bottom on one of those rowers and row. The challenge will be which hub can row the furthest over the course of City Giving Day. You're welcome. Arabella has kindly elongated your lunch break in order to facilitate your bottoms on those rowing machines over there. We're going to have a tally of which hub rows the furthest over the course of the day. There's a Just Giving page. That Just Giving page is going to go through to all of our members. The Master and the Clerk have already rowed. Thank you very much. You'll see an Alderman and Sheriff turning up at 1 p.m. And our charities, XLP are coming through, EY Foundation are coming through, Construction Youth Trust are also coming through to take part. So we want to raise as much money as possible as we can for those. If you don't want to put your bottom on one of those chairs, I am going to forgive you, but only if you give to our Just Giving page. That QR code links you through to that, and later on, Arabella's going to make sure that the link for the Just Giving page is up there. Thank you so much for your time. I've rattled through that. I'm going to be around all day, but I will be next to the rowing machines. So please come and ask, but you might be coerced with consent, obviously. I'm going to stop talking. Thank you so much.